rights in this country.
I've always been adamant that gay and lesbian Americans should be treated fairly and equally. And I was sensitive to the fact that for a lot of people, the word marriage was something that evokes very powerful traditions, religious beliefs, and so forth. At a certain point, I've just concluded that for me personally, it is important for me to go ahead and affirm that I think same-sex couples should be able to get married.
President Obama speaking today with Robin Roberts of ABC, making remarks that were both highly anticipated and that nobody was quite sure he was going to say until he actually said them. There has been no ambiguity about whether or not this administration supports the advancement of gay rights as a matter of policy. But there has been uncertainty about whether the president would ever say what he said today, whether the president would ever say that he personally supports same-sex couples being allowed to get married. In Kansas this month, there was a protest outside the state capitol after the Republican-dominated House there passed something they're calling the Religious Freedom Act. The religious freedom at stake in this act is the freedom to fire somebody because they're gay or kick somebody out of the house because they're gay. It would mean that if your town had an ordinance that said you can't discriminate against gay people, your town could be sued by people who want to discriminate against gay people, asserting that it is their right to do so. It's legislation to overtly advance the right to discriminate against gay people and to get rid of anything that might shield gay people from discrimination. This thing passed by nearly 3-1 in the Kansas House. If it passes the Senate, my guess is that Kansas Republican Governor Sam Brownback will sign it with a very, very pious smile on his face. Legislation like this is a thing for Republicans now. The same sort of bill was introduced in Colorado this year by Republicans in the legislature there. Ultimately, they pulled it, but the folks behind it say that they will bring it back soon. In Colorado yesterday, the Republican Speaker of the House killed 30 different bills last night, all at once. Bills covering everything from water infrastructure to something to set the standard for driving while stoned. 30 bills, all of them set to be moved at the end of the legislative session in Colorado, all killed in one fell swoop in order to stop a civil unions bill for same-sex couples in Colorado from going to the floor where there was a threat that it might have passed. So there was almost progress for gay couples in Colorado from third-class citizenship to second-class citizenship yesterday. But the Republican Speaker of the House took a stand and stopped that progress, killing 30 other pieces of legislation in the process. Whew, close one. If you follow the issue of gay rights in American public policy, you know that public opinion has been shifting on this subject. Support for same-sex marriage rights in polling has been going up and up and up, but public opinion shifting on this issue has not affected most Republican politicians. In fact, the most visible Republican politicians in this country have become more anti-gay over time.
You gave an answer that I thought was really interesting in the third debate. Bob Schieffer asked you if you thought homosexuals were born that way or became that way. And you said you didn't know.
Right, I don't.
So the possibility, it's a nature-nurture argument, so the possibility exists in your mind that it could be nature.
Sure.
So how can we deny them rights in any way to a civil union that would give them the same economic rights or health rights or other things?
Well, I don't think we should deny people rights to a civil union, a legal arrangement, if that's what a state chooses to do so.
That was George W. Bush in 2004 saying he was in favor of civil unions for same-sex couples. 2004, the last Republican president. The current Republican nominee for president is against that.
I think people have differing views on marriage, and I respect people's different views. I'm in favor of traditional marriage between a man and a woman, and I don't favor civil union or gay marriage.
We think of the country as getting less anti-gay over time, but for the top tier of Republican politicians, they are getting more anti-gay over time. Even Mitt Romney personally is getting more anti-gay over time. When he ran for the United States Senate in 1994, this is him on the cover of the Boston gay newspaper, When he ran for Senate that year, he famously promised that he would run to the left of Ted Kennedy on gay rights issues. He said that he would make equality for gays and lesbians a mainstream concern. Now that he's further along in his career and he's the de facto Republican nominee for president, not only is he not trying to mainstream gay and lesbian equality, he is actively working against it. He's promising to fight it. He's pledging to pursue an amendment to the United States Constitution to ban marriage rights for same-sex couples, to impose that ban federally, no matter what individual states want. When the Romney campaign appointed an openly gay spokesman recently, he was hounded out of the job on the basis of the fact that he was gay.
Personnel is policy. When Governor Romney picks somebody who's an activist homosexual and puts him in a prominent position, he's sending a shout-out, it seems to me, to the homosexual lobby.
When attacks on his spokesman for being gay forced that spokesman to quit, Mitt Romney never said a word to those anti-gay critics. That led even that guy you just saw there, Brian Fisher, to worry that maybe Mitt Romney was kind of a wimp on this issue.
If Mitt Romney can be pushed around, intimidated, coerced, co-opted by a conservative radio talk show host in middle America, then how is he going to stand up to the Chinese? How is he going to stand up to Putin? How is he going to stand up to North Korea if he can be pushed around by a yokel like me?
A yokel like me. This past winter, when former Republican Vice President Dick Cheney was lobbying in Maryland for Maryland to pass marriage rights for same-sex couples, when the last Republican vice president was doing that, the current Republican nominee for president, Mitt Romney, was campaigning against the gays.
On my watch, we fought hard and prevented Massachusetts from becoming the Las Vegas of gay marriage.
When a federal court in California ruled in favor of marriage rights for same-sex couples in the Prop 8 case earlier this year, Mitt Romney jumped in to make clear that he was on the anti-gay side of that. He declared himself a combatant in the war on gay rights. He said, quote, "Today, unelected judges cast aside the will of the people of California who voted to protect traditional marriage. This decision does not end this fight." See, it's a fight, and he's a combatant in that fight against gay rights. Even when he's not making public statements on the issue and he's just doing things like doling out political money, even if he's doing something more quiet like that, this year's Republican presidential nominee, Mr. Romney, has been giving that money to groups fighting against gay rights in the states, including to groups who say they know how to cure you from being gay. Mitt Romney's foundation has been funding those groups. This is just what it's like for Republican politics now. Yesterday, the Republican Speaker of the House, John Boehner, gave over Statuary Hall in the U.S. Capitol to a man who says that AIDS is God's punishment for homosexuality.
The Bible, again, it's right every time, and studies keep proving that. And that's why AIDS has been something they haven't ever discovered a cure for or a vaccine for. Yeah. Because it's the fastest self-mutating virus known to mankind. Every time they just about get a virus, a vaccine discovered for it, it transmutes into something new, and they have to start over again. Yeah. And that goes to what God said, hey, you're going to bear in your body the consequences of this homosexual behavior.
The consequences of your homosexual behavior. Yesterday, the Republican Speaker of the House, John Boehner, invited that guy to use your room, Statuary Hall in the U.S. Capitol, for some kind of publicity stunt. Regardless of the public opinion polling on this issue, the elected officials of the Republican Party in 2012 are more anti-gay than they have ever been in my lifetime. And they have been anti-gay for a really long time.
There is a religious war going on in this country. It is a cultural war as critical to the kind of nation